So, so we are ready with the setups with Amex now. Whatever the setups we completed through XYZ and C, the same setups we completed with the rapid implementation approach. The calendar, chart of accounts, primary ledger, legal entity, business unit, all the setups we completed. And manually we created a project and we assigned the roles. To the roles we assigned our primary ledger. Now we'll go and see how we can create the transactions within the GL, General Ledger application. So if you want to create the transactions in any application, that application specific periods we have to open. Say open GL periods. To record the transactions in General Ledger application, we have to open General Ledger application periods so that we can create the transactions. After opening the periods, we can create transactions in GL. What are the transactions we create in the GL? Those we call as journals. So create journals in GL. So reality, there won't be any business requirement to create the journals in GL. Mostly just if any adjustment entries need to be passed, those are the cases where we create the journals in GL. Every business transaction, what we do as a part of business, for that we have a separate applications like payables, receivables, assets, purchasing, order management. We discussed in P2P and O2C cycles. In those applications, we create the transactions. That information will transfer to GL in the form of journals. But since we are ready with the GL related setups, I mean like primary ledger and all, we'll just go through how journals can be created. Okay, we'll go to open the GL periods. How to open the GL periods? Go to Navigator. Within the Navigator, we can find a section called as General Accounting. Okay, General Accounting. Expand it. Under General Accounting, we can find one task called as Period Close. Even if you want to open or close, you can use the same task. How we got this General Accounting here? We assigned GL roles to this user. If you assign the GL roles to user, that user will be able to access to General Accounting. Under that we have a different tasks. Now first we have to open the GL periods. Click on task called as Period Close. Click on Period Close task. Yeah. Fine. So this is our primary ledger. Amex USA primary ledger. Amex USA primary ledger. The current period is December, right? But before December, we have periods. Our accounting calendar, what we created from the Jan 2021. Without opening the previous periods, we cannot open current period. Now, if you look at general ledger, the status for general ledger, the current period is never opened. Just click on this status, whatever you see as a never opened, click on that status. As per our accounting calendar, whatever first period we have, from that period we have to open. So within this Amex USA primary ledger, we have accounting calendar. In accounting calendar, the very first period is Jan 21. So first we have to open this first period. Just say okay. This action will open the first period in the ledger. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay. The process has been submitted to open the period. Just refresh to see the status. Now we can see the period John status is open. Okay. And next period status is future enterable. Now what period we require? Current period. So what you can do is to open the current period, go to actions, select open target period. So which period we want to open? December. Select December period. If you click on open, between Jan and December, how many periods we have? All the periods system will open in the sequence and it will open up to December. Okay, the target period is December and the first open period is Jan. Only Jan period is open. Now we are trying to open December. Before how many periods we have? All the periods also system will open. Okay, up to target period, all the periods system will open. Without opening the previous periods, we cannot open the current period. Say open. Say yes. Click on refresh to see the status of periods. Now you can see all periods are open up to Jan to December. All the up to current period, all the periods are open. The status is open. Now we'll look at this, the status controls. So here we have a period statuses. If you open any period, if any period status is open, you can create the journals and you can process those journals. Okay, you can create and you can process those. Process is nothing but posting. When you post the journal, the balances will get updated. How exactly we will see that, but for now you can take the simple point. If any period status is open, within that period, you can create the transaction and you can process it. If you close any period, if any period status is closed, you cannot create the transactions within that period. If period status is closed, you can reopen. Okay, 2 points. If period status is closed, okay, you cannot enter the transaction in that period. That is the 1 point. Other point is, if any period status is closed, you have option to reopen that. If you reopen again, you can enter the transactions and you can process. And if you once period is closed, you can mark it as a permanently closed. If you update any period status as a permanently closed, you cannot reopen it. You cannot reopen it. And if you set any period status as a future enterable, you can see after December, after current period, the next period is future enterable. If any period status is future enterable, you can record the transactions in that period, but you cannot process those. You cannot process. That means you cannot post. If you are not able to post any journal, there is no use of that journal. Okay. If period status is open, you can create the transactions and you can process. If period status is closed, you cannot enter any transaction. If period status is closed, you can reopen the period and you can enter the transactions. And if period status is permanently closed, you cannot reopen that period. If period status is future enterable, you can create the transactions, but you cannot process the transactions in that period. So this is what we have to understand when you talk about period statuses. Any questions on these statuses, please? So this is past period. I want to close this. Anyway, we are in the December. We never enter the transactions in the past period. You can mark it as a closed. See, I selected John. Now you can say close period. Refresh. Now you can see the period status is John status is closed. Now once period status is closed, you can close it permanently also. You can select the closed period, go to actions and say permanently closed. If you select permanently closed, this period will be closed permanently. We discussed if period status is closed, you can reopen it. You can reopen. John period, you can open it again. Just refresh. Now you can see John period status is open. This is how you can open the periods, and you may close the periods. When we are moving to the next period, previous periods always we have to close. If period is closed, you can close permanently also, but permanent close is not recommended. And once the current period is open, by default one period would be future enterable. Within that you can create the transactions and you cannot process those. Where we can set future enterable by default, that we'll see. That basically we can set from the ledger options. When you go to ledger options, I'll take you through that. So these are the points we have to understand when we talk about period statuses. Okay, the period statuses will have a control. What sort of control? Allowing to enter the transactions, restricting transaction entry. So this sort of controls we can have with the period statuses, right? So now anyway, the current period is open in our primary ledger. Now we can go and record the transactions. We'll go and see that. Just click on done. Now we'll see how to.
Good morning, Mr. Lakshman. Sorry to interrupt you.
Please.
I have a doubt, or you can treat it as a question also. Some people advise, while defining the calendar to the client, we need to, if the client is, wants to do the operations from 1st January 2022, we need to define the calendar. Do we need to define the calendar from 1st January 2021?
No.
That means 1 year prior to the starting of operations of the client. Is it necessary?
Prior year?
Yeah. Suppose a client wants to implement Oracle ERP, and they want to do the transactions, they want to go live from 1st January 2022.
Okay.
Do we need to create the calendar from 1st January itself, 2021 itself, or we can just start the calendar from 1st January 2022?
For other applications, it is not mandatory, but if you are implementing fixed assets, minimum one prior year is required. Otherwise, you cannot calculate the depreciation. Minimum one prior year should be there within the calendar. Fixed assets point of view, that is very important. Yes, you have to have prior year.
So fixed assets calendar also have to be defined as per the periods of general ledger periods.
Exactly.
So we need to define general ledger also 1 year prior to this. Is it necessary?
Okay. See, whatever the calendar you are creating with the same periods, you have to create the fixed assets calendar. But fixed assets purpose, you don't need to create the one prior year periods in the accounting calendar. Okay, in the fixed assets, we'll create one calendar called as depreciation calendar, asset calendar. In that calendar, you have to create periods for one prior year. Otherwise, not mandatory here.
But in that case, the period in fixed assets will not come strictly according to the general ledger period if it does not exist in general ledger.
Correct. No. See, in fixed assets point of view, you have to add 1 year, one prior year periods in fixed assets calendar. In general ledger calendar, I mean to say accounting calendar, you don't need to add prior years.
No, my doubt is here. Please try to understand. Suppose if we do not define the one in prior year in the general ledger, how can we record the periods of the prior year in fixed assets? We cannot create there with the similar name of
No.
the general ledger.
One second. In fixed assets, what are the prior year periods we are creating not to record the transaction? There is a limitation in the fixed assets. If periods are available for prior year, current periods will be able to perform the operations like running the depreciation and all. Not to record the transactions. For system validation purpose, we have to create. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, not to record.
Okay then. Thank you.
Yeah. Done. Fine. We'll go and see how to create the transaction in the GL. Okay. Go to Navigator. Under General Accounting, go to Journals Tasks. Go to Task List. Say Create Journal. Okay. The navigation is go to Navigator. Within the Navigator, you can find General Accounting. Expand it and go to task called as Journals. Click on Journals Task. Now click on Task List. Say Create Journal. Click on Create Journal. And if you look at journal creation page, you can see journal batch section, journal section, and journal lines. Every journal what we create, system will create one batch for that journal. Okay. So every journal what we create by default, it will convert into batch, or else in one batch you can create multiple journals also. So you can provide the journal batch name, and journal we are going to create in which accounting period already system selected. Always system can pick current period, current open period, latest open period. So you don't need to select any period. Journal batch name is optional. You don't need to enter. If you don't give any name, system can generate the name automatically. And journal. Here you can give the journal name. Journal name also not mandatory. And system is picking the current date. Okay, above we have seen here is picking current period, latest open period. Say you opened only up to November. When you come to this page, system will pick November period only. It means within our accounting calendar, what is the latest open period, that period system can pick. Fine. Now here you have to specify the category, what purpose you are creating the journal. Okay, the purpose we have to select as a category. The purpose we have to select as a category. Say now we are going to create the journal. The journal may be for some purpose. You can enter the name or else you can ignore, and you have to select the purpose. Okay, what purpose you are creating the journal, that purpose you have to select. By selecting the purpose, you can enter debit and credit lines, journal lines, the accounting code combination you can provide. So every time the category field is, you have to enter. You can notice the category field is mandatory. You can see star mark. Category is nothing but purpose of the transaction. Okay, category is nothing but purpose of the transaction. Here you can see source. Source means origin of the transaction. Okay, where this transaction being created, where we are creating, here only through manual process. When you see manual, you have to understand that is nothing but general ledger application. In general ledger application, what are the journals we create directly, the source you can find as a manual. Source means where we are creating the transaction, the origin of the transaction. And category means the purpose of the transaction, what purpose we are creating the transaction. If you take example of payables, in payables we have a two category of the transaction. One is purchase invoice, Second one is payment. If we take example of receivables, we have two category of the transactions very primarily. One is sales invoice, other one is customer payments, nothing but receipts. So that's how whatever the transactions you are going to create in the GL, you have to address with a category. Okay. So every time we have to select the category. Most of the cases in GL, whatever the transactions we create, those are adjustment transactions, adjustment entries. Now we are in this page, I may select, okay, adjustment as a category. I will give the journal name. I'll just enter the account code combination. Okay, adjustments, which expense account or etc. I can select all these values. Okay, I'll just go and select which company, which department, or specific account and other values I'll select and I'll create the journal. Again, if I want to create the journal, I have to come back to the same page. I have to select the category every time and I will enter the required account code combination. So instead of entering the category every time, you can set this category as a default. Okay, by using the profile option concept, we can set the categories default all the time. Okay, we'll see how to set category as a default in this page for this user. That means when this MX user is going to create the journals, which category system should pick automatically, we can go and set that we call as default category. How we can set the default category? By using the profile option. Say set default journal category. Category we are setting during the journal creation. So you can simply say journal category. Set default journal category using profile option. By using the profile option, we can set default journal category. We'll go and see how that can be done. You can close this page.
Mr. Lakshman, can it be set at the user level?
We'll go and see that. We'll go and see that.
Okay.
What we are going to see now. So go to setup and maintenance task. Go to task list. Go to search page. To set profile options. Okay, we are going to set the profile option. To set the profile options, we have a separate task. Okay, there will be task called as manage administrator profile values. Instead of typing the full name, you can type profile values. So here is the task which we require to set the profile options. Okay, manage administrator profile values. This is the task name. Click on this task. Okay, task name is manage administrator profile values. So what is the profile option name? Go to profile display name field and here search for default journal category. Okay, we want to set default journal category. For that we have to find the same profile option. Search for default journal category. I searched multiple times in the browser that got saved. Okay, I really have to type that name, default journal category. This is the profile option name you have to type in this field and click on search. Click on search. Okay, you can see here record profile option code is GL default JE category. Okay, JE means journal entry. With this display name we searched default journal category. Now we'll go and set default category for our user. Here click on add. Okay. Here select profile level. What level we want to set this profile option. we have two levels, site and user. If you set at user level, whatever the category you are setting, that category system will default only for that user. If you set at site level, for all the users, the same category system will default. Okay, we are going to set at user level. User. And for which user, which category system has to default? Select our user here. Username is Amex. Say okay. Fine. For Amex user, we are setting the category. What category we want to set? Say adjustment category. Okay, now say save and close. From now, if you go to journal creation page from Amex user, we no need to select any category name. By default, system will pick category called as adjustment. Say save and close. Say done. Okay. So it will take some time to get updated. What we can do is better we can sign out and sign in to see the impact. Now go to journal creation page. Under general accounting, go to journals task. Go to task list. Say create journal. Now you can notice system is picking category called as adjustment. The reason, with the help of default journal category profile option, we selected category should default as a adjustment for Amex user. So that's how you can set profile option to default the journal category. Now we'll create the journal. So here we'll enter any one of the journal. Batch name is not mandatory. System can generate the batch. Even journal name also not mandatory. If you want to enter, you can enter the journal name. Say I'm giving the name as expense journal. So ledger it is picking. The reason, to this user we assign the roles. To those roles we assigned our primary ledger. So that's how system is identifying the ledger, and it is deriving the current period. It is picking the today's date, and currency also it is taking from this primary ledger. Okay, from Amex USA primary ledger, whatever the currency is available, that currency system is selected. If you want to create the transactions in different currencies, you can change the currency. That we will discuss when you deal with the foreign currency transactions. We'll see that point. Now you can enter here debit and credit lines. Okay, so click on search, go to company, select any one of the company and select department. I'm selecting department 1000. Here you can select expense account. So many accounts we have because we loaded through rapid implementation. So to find out the accounts which includes the term called as expense, go to advanced, click on advanced, and Here in the description, you can select contains. Contains what? Expense. Okay, how many accounts contains term called as expense? All account system will display. Search. All the expense accounts it will show. Within the name, if expense is in name, term is included, it will display. Here I am just selecting some postage expenses, say miscellaneous expenses. Any one of the expense you can select. Testing purpose. Say OK. And select intercompany. Say this transaction is not belongs to intercompany, so select default. This is not related to any project. You can select the default value. And future 1 and future 2 always we have to select default one. Okay, now you can say OK. We are creating the new code combination. Okay, we never created this combination with this company, with this department account and these values. This is a new code combination. So say OK. We are trying to create new code combination. System will allow. The reason is at chart of account structure instance level we have one checkbox. By default system is enabled. Because of the checkbox, if any user is trying to create the new code combination, system will allow. When you go to the structure instance, we will see that point. Anyway, we have to go to that to set the default values for all this. At that time, I'll just show you that point. For now, just remember, system is allowing to create new code combinations. Reason, there is one checkbox in the instance level. Now we enter like postage expense or some miscellaneous expense. I'm just entering the amount as $500 debit side. And create one more account code combination that will take credit side. Say 5,000 expense we spend and 5,000 we have to, 500 expense we spend, 500 we have to pay. So select company, department. Anyone please tell me what is the use of balance in segment, primary balance in segment label? What is the use? Here you can select any one of the account. Cash, saving, HSBC account I am selecting. We are paying that $500. Okay, what is the use of primary balance in segment label? Already we discussed. What do you remember?
To balance the journal entry at the balancing segment value level.
Yeah, exactly. Every transaction what we record need to be balanced with the same balance and segment value. That means in debit, if I take one balance and segment value, in credit also we should take the same. If transactions are not getting balanced, you cannot generate the proper reports. That is a balancing rule. Okay, as per accounting, that is a balancing rule. Okay, in every transaction, the debit and credit balance and segment values should be same. That rule can be enforced by primary balance and segment label. That label we assign to company. Now, what are the transactions we are going to create? When you try to process those transactions, system will validate. System means the primary balance and segment label will come into the picture. It will verify the debit and credit balance and segment values are same or not. It will verify. Now we will check whether balance and segment label will verify or not. The debit side I selected 1000, right? Here credit I am selecting 2000. It should not be like this. The rule should take care of this. I selected 2000. I'll say OK. So we spent 5,000 miscellaneous expense and we are paid. Since this is journal, In GL, we can create like this. If it is a payables, whatever you are spending for that, you can create one transaction called as invoice, and whatever you are paying to the suppliers, for that you can create separate transaction called as payment. But this is a journal. In GL, directly you can pass entries like this. Reality, we don't do like this, but just it's for our information. Okay, any expense will record in the payables, any payments we process from payables only. Now we created one journal and we entered debit line and credit line. Enter debit amount, what we spent, we are entering as a debit. What we are paying, that we entered as a credit. Here, as per balancing rule, in every journal, in every transaction, debit balance and segment value should be equal to credit. Otherwise, the primary balance and segment label, what it will do is it will stop doing further actions on this journal. Okay, anyway, we just selected different balance and segment values and we'll try to proceed. Click on save. When you click on save, you can notice system is creating the journal batch name automatically. Okay. The name is whatever the journal name we given, the same it is taking here as expense, and the date it is taking, and the timestamp. What time we are creating is all it is taking. Now you have to complete this. Within this batch, if you want to create one more journal, you can click on add. Now we create one expense journal. You can add one more journal. You can click on add and you again provide the journal name and just provide debit and credit lines by clicking on add. Now just say we don't want to create multiple journals in this batch, only one journal we want to create. Say complete. Okay, see journal status is, the batch status is complete. We completed journal creation. Now this journal, every journal need to be posted. If you post, what happens? This $500 amount will be updated against this account code combination. This 500 amount will be updated against this account code combination. If these amounts are not getting updated against these accounts, there is no use of this journal. So that we can achieve by doing the posting. Every journal need to be posted. When you post a journal, then only the balances will get updated against the specific accounts. Fine. We'll go on to post the journal. Click on post.
Hi Lakshmi, sorry to interrupt. Can you explain those journal lines again, credit side and debit side?
Yeah. I'll come to that. So your process has been submitted. Say okay. So here, what we are spending, how much you are spending, I'm taking debit side, and when you spend that $500, you have to pay. How much you are paying, you are taking credit side. The debit should be equal to credit. So since we are creating the journal and the GL, we are giving through manual process. Reality, we no need to give anything. When we are working on the payables, receivables, automatically system will take. Okay, automatically system will take. You no need to enter anything. So when we start creating the transactions in the GL AP, I'll just take you through that point. Now you don't need to worry about it. Just remember the expense we are entering debit side, and what we are paying we are entering credit side. There are some golden rules which talks about what should be debited and what should be credited in the accounting. But anyway, once we are in the payables, I'll take you through that. Just you try to understand how we are creating the journal here. That's all.
Lakshman, couple of questions.
Yeah.
The person who enters the journal can post the journal. This can be a SOX violation. And then another one is on the approval. Normally, there's no approval process for.
that is totally up to that company. Just the same person can create and same person can post, or else one person will create, another person will post, or else one person will create, another person will approve, then only third person will post. This is how just you can set how you require in your organization. Okay, as a direct functionality, yes, that is possible. The user who is creating, the user can post it as per standard functionality, as per your company policies and validations, etc. How you want to manage that, you can do. As per standard functionality, it is possible.
Okay. So if the company does not want the same person to post the journal, what can be done in Oracle Cloud?
If the same person
Should not post it, let's say if the company
should
has
not
that.
post, remove this post tab. Okay, the role customizations, we can do certain activities like this, which are not possible in the role customization. The personalization, you can remove those.
No, I mean we want it to be posted, but not by the same person who's entering the journal.
Yeah, that's what. In that case, you have to do the personalization. You have to do the personalization. You have to write some rules and conditions saying that the person who is entering is not allowed for posting. That conditions you have to write in the personalization.
And what is personalization?
Personalization means whatever the standard functionality we have, you can set some rules accordingly. System will behave. The technical people will do that. The page
But
personalization.
Lakshman, you can do by responsibility, you can create for like user responsibility and approver like that, right?
Your voice is very low.
I said by responsibility creating by user level and like manager who can approve like that, we can separately
Approvals are
create those.
different. See, approvals are different. Here, the point is posting. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The person.
this personalization, what you're saying, applicable for this batch expenses and the other, which are not option, you can also make read only or hide like that.
Yes, everything we can do. Like with the personalizations, you can remove some tabs, optional fields you can make as a mandatory. Okay, or else you can hide certain fields, or you can set some conditions. Okay, or else if so and so person is creating the journals, those need to be posted by so and so specific person, or else the person who is creating is not allowed to post. These are all rules you can set through personalizations. If you have such kind of requirement, your technical team can.
Personalization can be done in cloud environment also.
Cloud also allowed. Okay, very
Allowed.
advanced personalizations are not allowed. The basic personalization, what are the points you are raising, that sort of personalizations can be done in the cloud in SaaS. In PaaS, any sort of personalizations can be done. It's very advanced, setting multiple rules, conditions. Those are also possible. Whatever you are just saying as a requirement, yes, that can be done. That can be done in the SaaS.
Yeah. So is the personalization done in like a Java language? I'm trying to understand.
No, it's not a Java language. You don't need to go up to Java language. For the personalizations, you will have some expressions. Okay, you have to enable the sandbox, and you have to go to that personalization pages. There will be a few expressions you have to select. Okay,
Okay.
which is equal to what? Okay, which is not equal. All those you have to just.
Is there a documentation of what like technology?
You can find the documentation in the Oracle support as a white
Oracle support.
You can search for white paper. Okay, personalizations, page personalizations in Fusion Finance or in cloud. White paper. You can search and you can find.
Oracle support meaning a documentation or Oracle docs,
Oracle docs not. In the Oracle support, there is a global support website, right? When you want to raise SR
Okay, I'm not familiar.
for any service request.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you can find.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But the instance what we are using for practice, don't try with that instance for the personalization to test, etc., etc. Please, that will create issue.
No,
Yeah. If you have your client instance or other instances, you may try based on those documents. Done. So, refresh.
Mr. Mr. Lakshman, good morning. Don't you have any roles to this level?
Sorry?
Don't you have any roles to this level so that we can control directly with the roles?
Roles.
Yeah.
Roles.
Roles.
No, roles for what I'm
Yeah.
role. ROL.
Yeah, roles for controlling the permissions or access permissions.
The rules and profiles.
So,
No, certain permissions you can control with the roles. Yes.
yeah, posting and this thing, whether this
See,
user
all
can be.
Oracle is not giving in the rules, which they are not giving in the role directly. Those you can set up at page level. Okay. So certain permissions you can manage with the role by customizing the role, but few permissions which are not part of role, which are part of the page properties, those you can manage at page level only. Yeah.
Hello, Lakshman sir. Good morning.
Yeah, please.
Sir, like EBS, that AMI process is also can be used here. AMI, Approval Management Engine, is there in
No.
Fusion?
Voice is not audible.
No, sir. Actually, what I'm asking, like EBS,
Hmm.
AMI approval process. AMI approval process.
Yeah, we have. With Fusion, we call it as BPM. We'll work on that. Journal
That's a
approvals,
BPM. Okay. Yeah.
invoice
Yeah.
approvals. We'll see all those.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we have that.
Besides entering the journal, is there a way I can upload the journal, by entering in the Excel? Because normally accountants, like to process through Excel.
Sorry?
So like normally in the company where there are a lot of journals to be entered, accountants or whoever is processing, they like to work on Excel and upload it,
Yes, we have
There's an
option.
up-
We have option. We can load the journals through spreadsheet, through batch process, or one by one you can enter. We'll see that when we are working on general ledger application, we'll see. Now just we are here to understand how to create the journal by using our primary ledger. That's all.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Fine.
Can you show how to take the print from this document?
Sorry?
To take the print of this document and how
No,
to use that.
your voice is not clear. It's a voice.
I'm saying, can we take the print of this document?
Which document?
This whatever we entered. A soft copy. Yeah. Hello.
What copy you are talking about?
What we have entered just now, can we take in a hard copy of it?
Or this document?
Yes.
Just print it. Okay. You can print.
Option is there. So we can.
Yeah. Option is there. Once you say print, it will display the print view. From there, you can download or directly you can print it.
I have one question, Lakshman.
Once
if you
again,
allow
we'll
me.
come back to this journal creation page and we'll discuss and we'll do that. That's how just you can enter the journal and you can submit for posting. When we are working on GL, we'll discuss more detail level, how batch can be created, how we can reverse the journal. There is a lot of information. Now, we are not focusing on the concept called as GL. Once we get into that, we are going in the different information that is not required now. Just it's all about understanding how journal can be created. When we are dealing with the general ledger application, we'll go everything more detail level, how to create batch journals, individual journals, foreign currency journals. There is a lot of other information which we have to understand. Now, just a simple point you take as we assigned roles to user, we assigned primary ledger to those roles, we opened the GL period and we created journal. Okay, we just created journal and we posted, you take that point. The other are all points and related to journal and general ledger application. We'll see once we start working on the GL. Okay, say just we created journal, that's all. You take up to that. Rest all the points, whatever you have to understand related to journal. a general ledger application, we'll see. Now we can start with the accounts payable application, AP. Okay. So here, so when you talk about accounts payables, first we'll see supplier creation.
Sorry to interrupt, but in the last example, we did not balance the journal, so it did not show any.
That's what I said. Like we will do all those testings and all. Okay, when we are in the GL. Okay, now just we pass the journal and we just close that. Okay, we'll test all those. Okay, by changing the amount in the debit and credit, by changing the balance and segment values, what option system, what message system will throw, how to correct it, what are the other points we have to discuss. Again, we have to drive into different concepts. If we start with that, that's the reason. Just let's ignore it. Just we open the period and we pass the journal. That's all. The other information when we are working on GL, we'll see that. Yeah. So accounts payables. Say basic setups. You can say setups are configuration. To implement accounts payables, what are the basic setups we have to do? We'll see first. Okay. What are the basic setups we have to do? We'll see first. So first we'll see how to set up the supplier. Okay, first we'll see how to set up the supplier. After completing the supplier creation, we'll proceed with the other setups. So if you want to create the supplier from any user, first we have to assign the role. Okay, you have to assign the role called as supplier manager to that user. So assign supplier manager role to user. If we assign supplier manager role to user, that user can have access to supplier creation page. Okay. We'll go and assign supplier manager role to user so that the user can have access to supplier creation page. Whether user will be able to create the supplier after having access to supplier manager or supplier page? No. Say supplier creation page is there. One user got access to that page with the help of supplier manager role. Will that user able to create the supplier by accessing to supplier creation page? No. What system will do is, system will verify few points. If you want to create the supplier from any user, the user should be an employee user. Okay, user should be employee user. User should be a procurement agent. Okay, user should be a procurement agent. And user need access to supplier manager role. So these 3 points system will validate. Now we have user called as Amex. Now you tell me, Amex is a employee user. Amex is acting as a procurement agent. Amex got access to supplier manager? No. Amex is not an employee user, right? Earlier we created XYZ agency as a employee user. In the yesterday session we created Amex user. Amex user is not an employee user. Okay, Amex user you may convert as a Amex employee user. Then what about procurement agent? The employee user should be a procurement agent to create the supplier in the system. Now you have to convert Amex as a procurement agent also. Okay. Now Amex is an employee user and Amex is a procurement agent. Will you be able to create the supplier? No. if you want this user to create the supplier, we have to assign the role called as supplier manager. Okay, these are the 3 points system will validate when you try to create the supplier. The very first point is the user should be employee user. User should have properties or role called as procurement agent. Simply you can say user should be a procurement agent. User should have access to supplier manager role. These are the 3 points system will validate to create the supplier. Now we'll go on to convert Amex user as employee user and procurement agent, and we'll assign the role called as supplier manager, so that from Amex we will be able to create the supplier. Any questions here before we proceed, please?
Mr. Lakshman, in release 12, we never had this kind of thing to create a supplier.
Correct. In Fusion, it's new. Okay. In EBS, supplier manager role you don't need to assign. Supplier creation function you can find within the menu. And supplier can be created by anyone who got access to that menu. That's all. But here, these are the conditions. User should be employee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, user should be a procurement agent. User should have access to supplier manager role. True. In EBS, no, here these rules are applicable. First, we know how to convert any user, implementation user as an employee user. That already we have seen in the previous classes. We'll go and convert Amex as a implementation employee user. Go to manage users task. Okay, go to setup and maintenance. Search. Task name is manage users. Click on manage users. Click on create. But you can give the same name, Amex. You can provide an email ID. I'm just giving some dummy email ID. And I don't want to create new user. I want to convert Amex implementation user as employee user. Go to link user account. Select that user. Amex search. Select and say okay. The person type select as employee. Select legal employer, nothing but legal entity. And here I think we didn't assign this to legislative data group, right? To create employee user, the legal entity need to be associated with the legislative data group, right? That's what we discussed and did also for other user. Now we'll create the separate legislative data group. Say legislative data group. Manage legislative data groups. Say create. Now we'll create with Amex name. Amex US legislative data group. Select country. Submit. Now this legislative data group we have to assign to our legal entity, right? After assigning this legislative data group to legal entity, if you select that legal entity at the time of employee user creation, system will accept. To assign this legislative data group to our legal entity, we have to use the task called as legal entity HCM information, right? Manage legal entity HCM information. Go to this task and find out our legal entity. Amex USA legal entity. Click on legal entity name. And say update. Say OK. And go to tab called as payroll statutory unit. Okay. Go to payroll statutory unit tab. There you can select our legislative data group. The legislative data group name is Amex US legislative data group. Select, say OK. So now we associated our legislative data group with our legal entity. Say submit. Now if you select this legal entity at the time of employee user creation, since already we associated legislative data group with that legal entity, system will allow that LE to select employee creation. Done. Now we can go to employee user creation page. Task name is manage users. Go to manage users. So create. Okay, we are going to link the user account for this employee user creation.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Lakshman. What is the user account linking?
This is not first time we are doing, right? So implementation user we are converting as an employee user, that's all.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Amex. So we have Amex user which we created within the security console, the same we are selecting. Okay, done. Person type, employee. So legal employer. Amex. To this Amex legal entity, already we associated legislative data group. Now it will accept. Done. Select business unit. So that's all. Now say save and close. To create supplier from Amex user, okay, these are the points system will validate. As of now, we completed one activity called as converting Amex user as an employee user. Now we'll convert the same Amex or say employee user as a procurement agent also. Okay, so only employee user you can convert as a procurement agent. Directly implementation user you cannot convert as a procurement agent. Employee user only can be converted as a procurement agent. Now we have an employee user called as Amex. We'll convert that employee user as a procurement agent also. So go to our project or search page. Search for procurement agent. Nothing but buyer. Manage procurement agent. That means only procurement agent can create the supplier. Before that, only employee can act as a procurement agent. This is a point we have to understand. Employee can act as a procurement agent. The task is manage procurement agents. Say create. Just click on create. Okay. So find out our business unit, Amex, select, say okay. So for this business unit, Amex should act as a procurement agent. Select. You may select our BU as a requisition BU. When you assign the business unit business functions to BU, if you enable the business unit as a procurement BU and a requisition BU, then only you can see the BU information in this page. So we enabled procurement business function, we enabled requisition business function. That is the reason our BU is available in these two fields. And default printer. In case of cloud, we cannot do any printer configuration. We cannot do any printer setup. When we are working for our client, we have to raise SR to Oracle. We have to raise a SR, service request to Oracle, to do the printer configuration. Then they will ask certain details about the printer, and based on those inputs, they do the printer installation in the cloud instance. In case of EBS, our DBA team can do it, but in case of cloud, this should be done by Oracle team. Okay, we cannot do any setups, printer related setups. In this instance, we don't have any printer configuration. That is the reason default printer is empty. When we are in this page, we are here to create procurement agent. We are making Amex as a procurement agent for this business unit. That means this Amex is working as a buyer in this business unit. And by default, system is enabling all these actions. For us, what we need is supplier. Manage supplier checkbox is enabled or not, we have to see. So that we will be able to create the suppliers, okay, from this user, Amex user. By default, system is enabling all. You don't need to change anything, but notice manage supplier checkbox is enabled. This is what we need. That is the purpose we are creating the procurement agent. Okay. So employee user, Amex is employee user. That is the reason we are able to get this Amex here. Otherwise, you don't find Amex user here if Amex is not a employee user. Now Amex is the employee user. That is the reason we are able to select here. By selecting, we are converting Amex as a agent, procurement agent for our business unit. Only this Amex is the procurement agent only for this BU. Okay. Now simply you can say save and close. So now Amex is a employee user and Amex is a procurement agent. Now what need to be configured? So we have to assign supplier manager role to Amex user so that Amex user will be able to create the supplier. Fine. So here, fine, we'll see those. First, we'll go and do assign supplier manager role to Amex user. To assign role to user, we have to go to security console, right? Go to tools and security console. Go to users. The username is Amex. Click on display name or username. Click on edit. Say add role. What role we have to assign? Supplier manager. Okay, supplier manager role. Select supplier manager role. Say add role membership. We are assigning the supplier manager role to this user. Done. Say save and close. Now this role need to be synchronized with this user. For synchronization purpose, we have to run the LDAP job. Okay. If you go to navigator, within the navigator, there will be procurement section. Okay. Here I'm just collapsing this. Collapse. Okay. Do you find procurement here? No. The role, whatever we assign, just now we assigned the role called as supplier manager. The role is not synchronized. Once that is synchronized, you will see procurement. Under procurement, you can see supplier creation task. So for that, what we have to do is we have to submit LDAP job. The role, whatever we assign to this user, that need to be synchronized so that this user can have access to the role related permissions. Go to tools, go to scheduled process. Go to scheduled processes. Click on schedule new process. The job name is LDAP. Okay, retrieve latest LDAP changes. Say okay. Okay.
Mr. Lakshman, sorry to interrupt. Is this like replicate seeded data in R12?
No. It's not similar.
Okay.
See, this point is simple. Here, one role we are assigning. To update that assignment, we are running this. What is the purpose of the seeded data in EBS?
That is also related to procurement, right? Whenever we
No,
create a...
not at all. Not at all. The purpose in EBS, okay, replicate seeded data means whenever you create new multi-org structure, whatever
Yeah,
the
that's what.
fundamental data, whatever the basic data is required for new multi-org structure, if anything is missing, any fundamental data is missing for newly created multi-org structure, to fill those gaps, we have to run the replicate seed data in EBS so that the fundamental basic data system will activate if somewhere it is required. Okay, this is totally different.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So Lakshman, does it mean that the security all is managed in the LDAP, in Oracle
Security.
environment? The user security is all stored in the LDAP, directory structure?
Exactly. The user related roles, the user security permissions, everything will be controlled and managed by LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol. Simply we call as directory services.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Directory
Why does
services is one of the middleware component. In the Fusion, we have middleware. In the middle,
Yes.
one of the component is this LDAP, directory services. There, the
Is it a part of
everything will be managed by that directory
Is that
service.
a part of a SOA platform or what?
A SOA is one component within the middleware. SOA, BPL, there are many components. The SOA primarily used for integrations purpose, but this LDAP is different component similar to SOA. SOA purpose is different. The LDAP purpose is different.
Okay, got it. I'm just out of curiosity. I've never seen ERPs designing such the security is managed in LDAP. Do you know a reason for that? In Oracle, the way they are designed.
See, Oracle brought this middleware component, right? Middleware concept. So in the middleware, if you are going to connect some third-party applications with the Fusion applications, that is possible with SOA. So let any other applications connect with the Fusion applications. For those applications, whatever the data is coming and what sort of security you want to manage, everything you can maintain in a single place. Instead of managing the security application specific in the different applications. So they brought that security concept as a single point of contact any application access, any that can be Oracle related Fusion applications or other Oracle applications or third-party applications. When user is going to access any application as a single point of contact, they introduce this directory services within the middleware. So any sort of user access will be controlled in the directory services.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
So let's hope this got synchronized. Better we'll sign out and sign in so that we can see the impact immediately if those are already synchronized. User is Amex. Okay, now go to Navigator. Now you can see procurement within the Navigator. Expand procurement. Under procurement we have suppliers. This we are able to see because we assign supplier manager role to this user. If you just assign supplier manager role to this user, yes, you will be able to see this. But after navigating to supplier creation page, if you want to create the complete supplier definition, the user should be employee user as well as procurement agent. That is the reason we kept ready with those properties also that user. Now we can go and create the supplier. So just click on supplier's task. Okay, sometimes if you click on this supplier task, it will bounce back. That means you have to understand the role is not synchronized properly and you have to wait for some time. Okay, so now if I click on supplier, it is navigating us to supplier creation page. But for the first time when you try to do this, it may refresh the page what you are trying to connect. In that case, you have to understand the role synchronization is not completed. We have to wait for some time. That's all. Fine. Now, before we proceed with the supplier creation, we'll understand few points. Okay, when you talk about supplier, so supplier information is classified and maintained as a supplier profile. Okay, supplier profile, supplier address, and supplier site. Supplier profile. Who is the supplier? The supplier belongs to which country? So that's how there will be other few details at supplier profile level. And supplier supplier address, where supplier is located. Okay, where supplier is located, that you can just provide as a supplier address. Supplier site. Say supplier might be located in 10 locations. Supplier is some companies are operating the business in 10 locations. If they are operating the business in 10 locations, we are in touch with that organization with how many locations. Those all we have to create as a supplier addresses. Now, what purpose we are in touch with that supplier address? That we have to create as a site. There may be supplier branch in one location. We may be in touch with that supplier to get the quotations, to send request RFQs, request for quotations. There may be other site where we are in touch with that supplier just to procure, to purchase only. There can be another site where we are in touch with that supplier to make the payments only, or else is all you can do in one address also, one site also. Okay, supplier profile means who is the supplier, supplier belongs to what, which country and what type of supplier, etc. We can set as a supplier profile. And supplier address, what is the exact postal address for that supplier you are in touch with. That addresses we can create. Against the address you can create the site. Okay, against the address you can create one or multiple sites. Say you have a supplier address in some address is X. So in that address you are in touch with the supplier to purchase. Purchasing purpose you can create one site. and payment purpose you can create one site, or else since address is same, you can create the single site for purchases and payments. Okay, this is how we can manage when we talk about the supplier definition. Okay, we'll go and see how to create the supplier profile creation, supplier address creation, supplier site creation. So here what we can just remember these points. Okay, if you want to create the supplier role we have to assign, and along with that user should be an employee user and the user should be a procurement agent. Better I'll just make a note. Create procurement agent. Create employee user. Okay, if you want to start tables configuration, okay, first make sure that the user, whatever you are using, the user is employee user. And since we are planning to create the supplier, first convert employee user as a procurement agent and assign supplier manager role to this user. Okay, how to assign supplier manager role to user. Done. Now we can go and create the supplier. Say create supplier profile, address, and site. After creating the site we have to assign to business unit. Which business unit is doing the transactions with this supplier site? To that site we have to assign to that business unit we have to assign the site. So that also we can write here. Okay, assign site to BU. This is what we have to understand about supplier. We'll go and see this. Okay, done. Okay, to create the supplier, what is the navigation? Go to navigator. Within the navigator, you can find procurement section because of supplier manager role. Okay, you have a procurement, expand it. The task is suppliers. Click on suppliers task and go to task list. Here we have a task called as create supplier. Click on create supplier. You can provide the supplier name. For our convenience, whatever we create, let's use Amex. When you say supplier, definitely supplier is a different organization. You may create supplier as a ABC organization or XYZ organization or something else. But for our practice convenience purpose, for everything I am going to give prefix as Amex. Okay, I'll give supplier name as Amex supplier 1. And business relationship. Here we have two values. Prospective, spend authorized. If you want to record purchase orders and invoices against the supplier, you have to create supplier as a spend authorized supplier. That means the supplier is authorized to perform the transactions. What does it mean by prospective supplier? In sourcing application, to do the negotiations, okay, to complete the quotation process, with whom you are in the negotiations, okay, to find out what price they are offering for which items, etc. You may create the supplier as a prospective supplier. But with the prospective supplier, you cannot create invoices in payables. With the prospective supplier, you cannot create purchase orders in the purchasing applications. So the prospective supplier can be used by sourcing team, but not by finance team. So when you create the supplier, select business relationship as a spend authorized. Okay. tax organization type. Select as a what this supplier falls under, what type of organization you can select. For now, I am selecting the corporation. Other information is optional. You can just be given supplier name, business relationship as a spent authorized. Don't select as a prospective. You cannot use that supplier to create the transactions. And the organization type is corporation. Then click on create. Now, based on these inputs, system will create supplier profile. Okay, the first step, what are the inputs we given? Supplier name, okay, relationship, organization type. What are the inputs we given? Based on those inputs, system will create the supplier profile, and automatically it will add few other details also that we'll go and see. Okay, just remember, our system will create supplier profile. We can say profile is created. Fine. Profile is created. How it created? The name, whatever the name we given, the name it is selected, and supplier number. It is picking the supplier number, and we'll see. I'll take you through that supplier number related point also. And tax organization type we given as corporation, and business relationship is spent authorized. Okay. Now the instance which we are using is this is a training instance or practice instance or test environment. But when you are dealing with fresh instance, you should set supplier number. If you don't set supplier number, you cannot create the supplier. Let's make a note of that point also. So before you create the supplier, mandatory you have to set the supplier numbering. Without setting the supplier numbering, you cannot create the supplier. Okay. So up to here you can save. Okay. Or else we'll proceed and I'll show you that point. We'll go through that. Okay. But now just we'll proceed. So to set up the supplier number, we have a separate task. Since this is a test environment, okay, system will allow. Already the number is specified. In case of fresh instance, when you are working for your client, you have to set that number. If you don't set that number, you cannot create the supplier. Right. Profile is ready. Now we'll create the address. Go to address tab. So click on create. Just click on create to create the address for the supplier. Just wait for a second. Okay, we can just go with some random text. I'm writing name as Amex supplier address. This supplier belongs to which country? Select country. This supplier belongs to US. Select and say OK. And here you can select the postal code. Already we have manage geographies information. So from there you can pick the postal code. Any postal code you can pick for testing. Now what purpose? In this address, what supplier is doing? Okay, what purpose this supplier has this address that you can set here. See, address purpose, ordering. So supplier will allow us to send the orders to this address. In that case, you can select ordering. Remit to. Say in this to this address, we can send the payments also. In that case, you can select as a remit to. Remit to means it's a payment. You can send the payments to this address and you can place the orders. That means you can send the purchase orders also to this address. If you want to use this address in the sourcing process like RFQ, request for quotation and bidding processes, yes, you can enable this. Okay, checkbox for this address. Not required. That is for procurement, not required for us. So just address purpose we are enabling as a ordering and remit to. Ordering means you can create the purchase orders against this address and you can make the payments to this address. Can we place the orders and can we make the payments to this address directly? No. With this address, if you create the site, then only you can place the orders and you can make the payments. Okay, done. Now you can say save and close. Okay, just say save and close. The address will be ready. Against this address, we have to create the site. Say okay. Now go to tab called as sites. Say create. When you try to create the site, if you see this create icon is grayed out, you have to notice few points. Maybe the user may not be a procurement agent. The user may not be employee user. Say user is the implementation user and you assigned supplier manager role. Yes, it will allow you to create the profile and it will allow you to create the address, but system won't allow you to create the site if the user is not a procurement agent as well as employee user. So implementation user also can create supplier profile and address, but not site. Remember these points. Okay, implementation user who is not a procurement agent and who is not an employee user, that user also can create supplier profile and supplier address if you assign supplier manager role to that user. But sites can be created by only procurement agent. When you say procurement agent, already that procurement agent is an employee user. Now click on create. You have to create the site against that address. Directly with the address you cannot create the purchase order. The address directly you cannot use when you create the purchase orders and invoices. Only you can use the site only. So against that address we have to create the site. Select address here. This is the address we created. The same address system will default as a site name. You can modify. Say I'll take the site as what we have here, New York. Okay, New York site. Or else you can give some name like site 1. Okay, how you want to identify, accordingly you can give the name. I'm just giving as site 1. Now this address level we given ordering and remit to. The same system is defaulting here. Ordering is nothing but purchasing, remit to is nothing but pay. Now you can click on save so that all these tabs will get enabled. Okay, this all tab system will enable. Just click on save. Done. Now you can see all the tabs are enabled. Now go to tab called as payments. When you make the payment to the supplier to the site 1, what method you want to use? One method you have to set as a default. Okay, one method you have to set as a default. Let's select this check as a default payment method. You can change during the payment creation. If you want to make the payment with the different methods, you can change from check to electronic or any other options. Okay, but supplier site level, one payment method, at least one method you have to select as default. So I'm selecting check. Okay, after selecting check, here you have to click on default so that would be marked as a default payment method for the supplier site. Click on default. Now you can notice that is marked as a default payment method for this supplier site. For this site it is marked. Now this site we have to assign to business unit. If we don't assign this site to business unit, no business unit can have access to this site. Okay, if you go to payables and then you create invoice, if you want to create invoice against this supplier site, you cannot create until unless the site is assigned to that business unit. So how many sites, how many business units are doing the transactions with this supplier site? To all those business units, we have to assign this site. One site can be assigned to multiple business units, but in our case, we have only one BU. Let's assign this site to the same BU. So go to tab called as Site Assignments. Just click on Site Assignments. Now this site we want to assign to our business unit. If you click on Auto Create Assignments, what system will do is the current user is acting as a procurement agent for how many business unit. To those business units, system will assign this site automatically. We created Amex as a procurement agent for only one BU. Now if you click on Auto Create Assignments, this site will be assigned to the same BU. Otherwise, manually you can do that. Click on Add. So Amex is a procurement agent for how many BUs? Only one BU. The one BU only system will display. So based on the user, it will display the BUs. Who is the user? Amex. Amex is acting as a procurement agent for how many BUs? Only one BU. One only it will show. Amex is not at all a procurement agent. First of all, you cannot create the site also. So this is the point we have to understand. Now I'm selecting our business unit. Now here you can see the names like client BU and bill to BU. Client BU is nothing but against which BU you are going to create the requisition. Bill to BU means in payables against which BU you are going to create invoice. They are giving some note also. If you place the cursor on that, they are giving any note? No. Here they are giving note. BU that process invoices for orders raised by one or more requisition BUs. Okay. So client BU is nothing but requisition BU. In which BU you are going to create the requisition. Bill to BU is nothing but the BU where you are going to create the invoices. Ideally, the requisition BU and bill to BU will be the same. Now here we don't need to set any other information. We assigned our supplier site to this business unit. Now you can say save and close. There is a lot of other information which we have to understand related to supplier. Those we can understand when we are dealing with the relevant concepts. Okay, for now, this is what we have to understand, how to create the supplier. You can say okay. Now you can click on submit. Just click on submit. Our supplier is ready. If you want to find out the supplier, go to task list, click on manage suppliers, search with the supplier name. Amex supplier 1. You can click on edit and you can see the complete information. The supplier name, supplier number. Okay. And you can go to addresses. How many addresses you created, you can see. You can have a number of addresses, multiple sites you can create. Go to sites. Only one site is created. This site is assigned to how many business units, you can check. Click on edit. Go to site assignments. This site is assigned to only one BU. If you want to assign this site to other BU also, you can assign by clicking on add. But before that, for those sites, those business units, this Amex should be a procurement agent. Otherwise, you cannot assign. So these are the points you have to note. And before you create the supplier, okay, before you create the supplier, you have to assign. You have to set the supplier numbering. Okay, you have to set the supplier numbering. So we'll go and see that. Okay, before you create the supplier, what you can do is you can have to set the supplier number. Since this is a test environment, here it is supporting, but if it is a fresh instance, follow the sequence. Okay, you have to set the supplier number. For that, we'll have a task called as specify supplier numbering. If you don't set supplier numbering in the fresh instance, and if you try to create the supplier, it won't give any exact message saying that supplier number is not at set, please set to create supplier. That's how you don't get message. It won't give you exact message and it won't allow you to create. Right? So before you go and create the supplier in the fresh instance, set supplier number. Here we'll see how to set the supplier numbering. Let's close this page. Okay, let's navigate to search page. If scope selection is required, you can do that setup from the project. Otherwise, directly you can do from the search page. Okay, go to setup and maintenance task. Go to task list, say search, or else you can go to project and you can do this. The task name is specify supplier numbering. Task name is specify supplier numbering. Here you can see supplier number is already specified. If you create one more supplier, this would be the next number 10299. When you are practicing, don't change this number. Okay, don't disturb this number. This is just for information. We are here. In fresh instance, this field will be blank and you have to talk to your client what number they will prefer to use as a supplier numbering. That number we have to set. Once you start creating the supplier, accordingly system will trigger the numbering. Okay, by using specify supplier numbering, you can set the number for supplier. That's all. When you are practicing, don't touch that number, don't change that number, that will create issues. Okay, don't change number. Done. Fine. Now we'll go on to setup common options. Say configure common options for payables and procurement. Okay, when you are working on the payables application, we need certain accounts. Okay, we need certain accounts. Means when you create invoice, system has to take some accounts. We can create different type of invoices. Okay, system has to take those accounts. When you create invoice, every time you don't need to enter any accounts. The account system will take automatically. But we have to provide those accounts in one place. That place is common options. By using this common options setup, we can provide all those accounts. Okay, by using this common option setup, you can provide all those accounts so that whenever you create invoice, system will use those accounts from there. But now simple point you can take, what is the use of common options? You can say by using the common options, we can set some default information or certain controls. Okay, that means in payables, what functionality we want to use, what functionality we don't want to use, how we want to use, that all you can set, as well as when you create invoice, which account code combination system has to take, all the details you can set in the common options. Okay, so if you remember, as a part of rapid implementation, okay, here we have that sheet right here. As a part of rapid implementation, the accounts, one second. Okay, as a part of rapid implementation, the accounts, which accounts we loaded? These all accounts we loaded. 1 second, let system open those. These all accounts we loaded, right? These all we just loaded through rapid implementation. Now we'll go to the common options. How those will impact the system environment we can understand. Go to project, implementation project, overview. This is our project. Now as a part of payable setups, we have to set the common options. Search for common options. Actual task name is manage common options for payables and procurement. Simply you can search for common options. Okay, here is the task. Sorry. Okay, common options for payables and procurement. Click on this task. Manage common options for payables and procurement. Click on go to task icon. Now system will ask us, you want to set common options for which business unit? Select RBU. Say apply and go to task. What is our BU name? Amex. Search. Select. And say save and close. In the common options, what are the accounts are required mandatory? All the accounts already system selected. How it selected? Because of this rapid implementation sheet. So here which account we have? Liability account, right? Liability account. Go to rapid implementation sheet. There will be one account called as accounts payable. For accounts payable account is nothing but liability account. For accounts payable account type is liability and additional classification given as accounts payable. Since the accounts payable additional specifications given to this accounts payable account, that account system selected automatically. What is the account here? 21010. You see here 21010, it's selected. With the help of rapid implementation sheet, only system got selected. Okay, 21010. For other segments, it is selected first value. The same way prepayment. Here in the rapid implementation sheet, you can go search for prepayment account. Here is the prepayment account. Prepayment account nature is asset, but additional classification already given in this rapid implementation sheet is prepayment. Then system will understand wherever prepayment account field is there, their system has to fill with this account. Which account? 15015. Will verify. 15015. Okay. The same way discount taken. Okay. Discount taken. Okay, discount taken. What is the account number? 56550. So this is the use of additional classification in the rapid implementation sheet. If you don't select, for example, this account earn discount for this. If you don't select discount taken, and if you give as a just expense account, only just expense account, only if you give as expense account instead of giving expense discount taken, now you have to fill this account code combination. Already we given in the wrapped implementation sheet. That is the reason what are the required accounts, those account system is filling. As of now, we no need to set anything in this page. Okay, whatever the accounts are required, it is selecting. When we are working on the payables based on the concepts, we'll come back to this page and we'll verify. For now, so when you load, when you do the setup through rapid implementation, you no need to select any account by default based on the concept. Say for example, there is a concept called as bills payables. When we are dealing with the bills payables, we have to come back to the common options and we have to provide the bills payable account and we can test that functionality. So that's how we can provide required accounts. But when we deal with the rapid implementation, whatever the account system is taking, that is enough for us. When we are dealing with those concepts, we'll come back to the same page and we'll talk about that account purpose, where it is taking, how it is taking, all those points we'll discuss. So in the common options, we can find out all the mandatory account system is selecting. Very basically, we have to provide the mandatory accounts. Based on the concept, we have to set other accounts and other information. Okay, when you come to common options, you can notice system is defaulting, system is deriving the accounts with the help of rapid implementation sheet. Here you no need to set as of now. Okay, many times we'll come back to this page and we'll discuss what we have to understand from this page. For now, only simple point what we have to understand is, as a part of payable setups, we have to set the common options. In common options, primarily we have to set the mandatory accounts, liability, prepayment, wherever you see the star mark, those accounts we have to set as a basic accounts. Those accounts already configured by system. Those accounts already defaulted because of rapid implementation sheet. Now we no need to do anything here. Okay, now as of now, we no need to do anything here. Our common options are ready. Who completed that setup? System itself. How? With the help of rapid implementation sheet. If you don't use the rapid implementation sheet, if you are going to do this setup through manual process, you have to enter all those accounts. In every implementation, we use rapid implementation sheet. It is not an easy task of entering hundreds or thousands or lakhs of accounts through manual process. That is the reason in every implementation we use rapid implementation sheet, but in our classes we have seen how the same can be created through manual process. Reason we should aware how to create through manual process, how to load through rapid implementation also. So that's all about common options. Okay, that's all about common options. Done. Maybe
Here I have a question, Mr. Lakshman. Can I ask, please?
please.
Yeah, that means the rapid implementation sheet we have downloaded from the application contains all the accounts that are mandatorily to be mapped, right?
Yeah. Most of the mandatory accounts are there as a part of sample data itself. Yeah.
So that means even the fixed assets there are also will be there.
Yeah. For all, wherever the logic there, it can be applicable for those places. They are giving all those accounts. Receivables we have.
Okay. Additional accounts we need to manually create.
For fixed assets, not. Fixed assets, they are not giving that logic because there it is not a code combination. Okay. So that there directly we have to select even if you have a rapid implementation.
Okay. So that means if we want to change, suppose he has given the account numbering pattern like 5 digits or 4 digits, whatever if they give it. If the client wants around 7 digit, 7 numbers or 9 numbers in the account, can we change them?
One second. These and all need to be, this is a one-time solution. Thoroughly you have to discuss with the account and finance team, basically account team, and you have to set numbering. It is not like whenever they feel we should not change that number. So that is the reason always if they need number like size as a 4, better we can suggest them, better we can have 5 in future. If any more accounts you want to manage, it would be easy for you. You can go up to max 5 digits. That's how we can suggest. But in the application, we have a flexibility. At any point of time, you can increase the size of that value set, but you should not. You cannot decrease. It will create many data inconsistency issues. You have a flexibility to increase the value set size. That means number size, but this and all not much recommended. You have to design the solution at the time of designing the chart of accounts for all this.
I know. My question is only for that purpose. In the beginning of that, when we download this model chart of accounts from the system, there we can change, right?
You can increase the size.
Yeah, we can increase the size and value set can be designed accordingly.
Yeah. See, increasing size in the sense value set level only you will increase the size. In the value set level for account, you have a 4. Now you have to go with 5-digit number. Go to value set and set number from 4 to 5. Then you can start creating the new accounts with a 5-digit. That's it.
Correct. All the new options in the beginning itself. At the time of beginning itself, I'm asking.
Anytime. Not only beginning, in the middle also you can do that. Increasing in middle also you can do, but decreasing you cannot do at any time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. So done.
Lakshman sir, it is already 9. So
Yeah, that's what I'm going to stop. We done for today. Okay, we'll connect tomorrow and we'll continue with the payable setups. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Lakshman, I have a couple of questions.
Please.
Yeah, now rapid implementation sheet, was it placed in the shared folder? If not, please, can you please?
I place in the shared folder, not required because you have to prepare with your own data.
No, for the reference data, this will be useful.
Yeah, I'll do that. But don't use that sheet for your preparation. You may use for just reference only. You prepare your with a unique naming. So then you can practice. I'll place today. Along with the today's session video, I'll place in the drive.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Please.
1 second, please. The second one is when you're talking about the common options, are you referring the reference data set?
No, not related.
That is different in this.
That I'll discuss when you talk about payment terms. That is the next topic.
Okay. The third question is last one. Yeah. What is the site when you're talking about the site? What does it mean? I mean, what is the site?
Yeah.
Why it is so important?
Yeah. Site is nothing but for address you have to take some name. That is nothing but site. As per application, by selecting address, you cannot create purchase order. By selecting site, you cannot create invoice. By selecting address, you cannot create the PO or invoice or payment. If you want to create the PO or invoice or payment, for every address there should be some name that we give as a site name. That's all. Otherwise, it's not something different. Address
physical location. Does it mean by physical location of the
physical location
supplier?
Supplier. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
When you say address, that is the physical location. Address means physical location of the supplier. For the same physical location of supplier address, we are giving some name that only we are calling as site.
Okay, done. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? See, we're done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back or else no further discussions. We'll connect tomorrow same time.
Lakshman, yesterday I was trying to use this rapid implementation sheet.
Okay.
So when you were creating legal entity, I noticed that when you entered same legal entity name for the new balancing segment value, all the fields were grayed out in the legal entity section.
That's true.
But for me,
that should be because legal entity is same. You don't need to enter the data again, right? That is the reason it should be
right. but when I was trying, it was not happening for me. Like even when I gave the same legal entity name,
One second.
were
There
not
might
getting
be
grayed out.
small gap, I mean, variance. Maybe you might have given additional space, or maybe when you
So
are
I copy pasted it
typing.
exactly like same cell. I copy pasted.
Sorry?
I copy pasted the name from the same cell. Like I copied the cell and I pasted it in the below row.
You just
Is it like we need some Excel settings or something for that
no,
gray
not
out?
required. Not required. Instead of copying and pasting, remove once and type name as it is and check once.
Okay.
Okay, better you try to do in that way.
So Lakshman, the question I have, couple of questions if you allow me.
Yeah, please.
So the first one is like you showed the how to create the journal today.
Correct.
So is that something new had come like compared to EBS, that complete button is newly added?
Yeah, just complete button only they added. Yeah, that's it. Rest of process same.
Oh. It's like AR thing, right?
Correct. In case of EBS, we have a like directly save and post. Just directly you can submit for posting. Here, what they did is in EBS, we have a journal batch as a separate function, right? Separate page we have form.
Yeah.
Here, for both they given same. That is the reason you may create individual.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Journal.
Yeah,
If it
I
is
see that.
going to be batch, so whether you completed journal creation within the batch or not, for as a check they given complete. That's all.
Okay, great. Thank you. So the second question, I saw you had sent that dump for AP.
The API place the dump for GL.
You have some.
For receivables, I'll place today.
Okay. I mean, I'm like expecting to take P2P. So if you can, but whatever you have, you can.
We don't have that. When you talk about financials, we have only 3 certifications: payables, receivables, and general ledger. Already I placed the dump for payables, and for remaining 2 by evening you can see in the Google Drive.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll do
The
that.
second thing, I saw the common option, what you showed today. The common options, I guess when we are doing EBS setup, right, AP, we used to have specific setups for AP centric, in EBS.
When you talk about
Without
common
that,
options, 1 second here. If you want to compare the common options are equal to financials options in EBS.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to understand.
Yeah.
I got it.
Common options are equal to financial options in EBS.
Yeah. So I am not
we have
started with the rapid implementation because I didn't get time. On the Amex side, what the user ID you created on the yesterday. So will you able to share the password for that? We can log in with that user or no?
No. Don't touch that Amex and all, because I am using that for class. If you are somebody is going to touch and they are going to check something again, that will disturb the class.
Okay.
Practice. You just create something and you do it by just verifying what I am creating. No use.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, upload those MX sheets, rapid implementation, I
I'll
can
do that.
refer it
I'll do
and I
that
can.
for sure. Today I'll place it.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Lakshman sir, Bhatnagar here. Can I ask?
Yeah, please.
Sir, actually, last batches you sent the videos. I have some confusing in setups in AP. I'm stuck on that. After that, I'm not able to continue that one. Can you able to share this batch only AP videos alone? Can you help me out?
Sure. I'll share. Today you received meeting link from my end or somebody shared?
Yeah, from ERP. No, sir. From your end only, I'm receiving meeting link. I'm receiving that. Only the part I'm got very good stuck in that setups last, because so many implementation that Amex and ERP, the user ID, so many thing we created in the last batch. So I got stuck. So please, can you share?
You don't need to think about all those points. See, when you are doing some setups, how to
I have problem in
what is
external sources. And AP initial setups. I was stuck in that.
Yeah, what is the issue? Tell me, I'll help you on that.
I'm not able to follow that video. It got confusing. I played so many times. Still, I don't know.
Getting confusion.
Sir, sorry.
No, exactly. What is the point confusing you? Because
The setup, the numbering, the supplier, when I'm creating the supplier creation, because in GL up to that the rapid implementation, I have no doubt that I can able to clear very done. After that, for AP part, I got stuck. I don't understand. I don't know what to say.
Exactly what setups you completed, which setups you are not able to.
I'm not able to do anything. I'm not able to do in the AP setups. Not able to do anything. That one. You started right, this AP one.
No. Everything in sequence, one by one, right? There should be some setups. If you are trying to do all the setups in one go, yes, you can say you are getting confusion and all. But we never do like that. We'll do setups one by one. I written in the Excel also. So where you are, where you have confusion, where you are facing some issue from system side, or where you.
I'm not. No, and the thing is, sorry, I didn't do that for last 1 week, so I forgot that thing. The initial part from AP, initial how to set up the first setup in AP. From that part, I'm not able to do anything.
Yeah, if you open that, I mean, you have a previous batch videos and sheet, right? I given separate sheet like this. See here.
I don't have any sheets, or I'm not getting any sheets. All I got only the videos.
No. That's,
can you
that's what? Yeah, that is there in the Google Drive. 1 second, I'll show you.
Okay.
Google Drive, you have, that is the reason if you are getting that confusion and all. So Google Drive, 1 second, be online. I'll show you that.
Okay.
If you go to the same previous batch videos, in that you can find one Excel sheet. You just try now.
What to type, sir?
No need to type. Open that Google Drive, previous batch Google Drive.
Now I opened through my mobile. I didn't open through my laptop.
1 second.
Okay, can you tell me the path?
No, path is nothing. Just see here.
Nothing. Okay, I'll go to the Google Drive. After that, what to do?
I'm opening that and I'll show you once.
Okay.
So this is the previous batch drive access you got, right? June batch.
Yes. Yeah.
These are the videos, right?
Okay. Yes.
Scroll little down.
Okay.
This is the sheet.
Okay. Oh, sheet is available. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Open the sheet.
Okay.
The sheet. Here you have a AP. Go to AP.
Okay.
In the sequence. These are the setups you have to perform one by one.
Okay.
Here you can find, and at the same time you can find in the video also. Whatever we discuss in the video, I captured here. So play the video and
if I click that,
this, and you can.
If I click that, okay. If I click that, it will be open also.
Yeah,
Excel sheet.
You can download. This is all you can download into your machine.
Okay, sir. I'll try today, sir.
Yeah. Please try. If you have an issue.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Fine.
Mr. Lakshman.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Please.
This rapid implementation sheet, can we download from the instance that you have given to us?
Yes, that's what we did, right?
Okay.
The same. You have to download from the same instance. Sometimes if you download this file from one instance, in other instances also it will work. Most of the cases, the same rapid implementation sheet and files can be uploaded in the other instances also.
Okay.
10% it will work. Sometimes we'll face some issue. That is the reason it is recommended to download and prepare and upload in the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is during the preparation stage we can change the size of the account numbers, right?
Yeah. Preparation side, yeah. You can value set for account, you can give the size, then you accordingly you can maintain the numbers in that. Both should
Numbers in that. That is true.
correct. Yeah.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
There is no class for Saturday and Sunday, right?
No. We have classes tomorrow and after tomorrow. You know, like how it went too much of delay. We'll have sessions. That's what I was telling from beginning today also. So we'll connect tomorrow same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll connect tomorrow same. Thank you all.
Good.